To Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time! 3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Taylor's gone! Goodbye, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Of Indiana Sports Speed Radio. I hope you are having a great start to your day, and it's been a good week for you. Looking forward to it continuing today on the program. Looking forward to talking to Coach Shannon Griffith here in this first hour. Bob Kravitz will stop by as well, and lots more to get to. Hope everything is going well for all of you. Appreciate you being with us, no matter where and how you're listening, whether it's on one of our great affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, The Ref in Evansville, always the right call, or 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB, the voice of the region, and in Fort Wayne on the only sports station in town, 1380 The Fan. Keep it locked right here. No reason to go anywhere else. Plenty to talk about. Some great games last night, as well as the Big Ten rolls on, as well as the rest of college basketball. Kentucky and Vanderbilt had a great game for a half. I was watching Vanderbilt because of Mark Byington, one of the names being tossed around. And, his team fought. At halftime, I think it was 40-41. They're in Lexington. And I'm like, man, they're in great position. I didn't watch the second half. And, gee whiz, I don't know what Kentucky did, but they made an adjustment at halftime because they shut Vanderbilt down. Both teams scored 40 points in the first half, like I said, but they held Vanderbilt to 21 second half points, and they won that game like 81-61, something like that. But they shut them down in the second half. Crazy. But it's been a minute. Pete Cawson jumping on the line too. Hey, Pete, how are you, brother? Appreciate everybody on the Andy Moore hotline as well. Hope everyone doing well. Russell feels spiffy today. Well, that's good to know. A little snowy in Cincinnati. Russell says he's happy because Northwestern will not be in the dance. Chris Collins will have time to build the team for Indiana. Chris Collins, another name being batted around as a potential. And the funny thing is, there has not been a name mentioned other than Brad Stevens that someone does not have an issue with, fans-wise. And I mean every single one of them. And that's going to be how it is. But someone like that is going to get the job. And so you never know. You don't know who it's going to be. We'll find out. But it's going to be someone that someone does not have, doesn't like or whatever, for whatever reason. But looking forward to hashing it out today. Looking forward to talking to some Indiana football as well as the Hoosiers quietly continue their offseason. But they have plenty of things going on, whether it's, they have the 4th highest rated quarterback class. They have lots of talent coming in. They're doing very, very well. A lot of guys that they're offering now that probably would not have paid a lot of attention to them, but they have had a lot of visits, whether it's been, especially the 2026 class. Jeremy Finch, one of those guys that they're chasing, but and I think that they'll land. But a lot of interviews on the Hoosier.com with those guys. So go for looking for some back. Go go look up the Hoosier.com and lots of stuff. There's one on Jeremy Finch, like I said. Some information. There's another piece there on wide receiver Harper Hughes talking about his visit to Indiana. Brendan Foley talks about his recent visit with Indiana, an offensive lineman. And then there's another offensive lineman from 2027, Khalil Johnson. So Indiana very, very busy on the football recruiting trail, without question, as they are looking to build up a legit team year in and year out. So it absolutely is a loaded show today. Where did that thing go? I lost it. Shenanigans. There we go. Yes, Shenanigans. It is a loaded show today. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to getting after it, as well as, like I said last night, a lot of action in college basketball overall. I think there were only 3 Big Ten games that I recall, but overall, a lot. Action in the SEC. Auburn had to fight off Arkansas for an upset. I mean, the SEC is it's just a battleground down there. I'm telling you. Kansas, I mean, they didn't lose again, but they've got some issues. It's kind of weird what's going on with them. We talked about that yesterday, but anyway, Auburn holds off Arkansas at home, no less, 67-60. Alabama, every game they play, somebody is scoring 100 points. Unfortunately for Alabama, they went to number 15 Missouri, and Missouri put 110 up and won the game 110-98. Rick Pitino and St. John's continues to roll. They are 23-4 on this season. 23-4. That's a complete new team, people. They went 82-58 as well. I mentioned Kentucky and Vanderbilt. So there's that. And over in the Big Ten only, from scores from last night, Nebraska goes to Penn State and loses. So kind of a ding on their NCAA title or tournament hopes, but I think that they'll be fine. Oregon goes to Iowa and gets a huge win. Iowa is there's no doubt to me, they're probably going to be looking for a new coach after this season. They have been the most vanilla team in the Big Ten. They're okay, but that's all they ever are, is okay. And that's run its course. Rutgers gets I wouldn't say a surprising win. It's at Washington. Washington's not that good. So Rutgers is able to pick up a win, keeping Washington down in the low levels of in the basement, where they're likely to not play in this season's Big Ten tournament. But hey, we got lots to talk about. We'll get to it right after this first break, as Coach Shannon Griffith set to join us, talk some Indiana football. Back with more right after these messages.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at BenDavisChevrolet.com and BenDavisFord.com.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza,
burgers, beer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. Glad to have you along and joined by Coach Shannon Griffith. How are you, sir?
Good morning.
Good day. How are you doing? How's the week been?
It's been pretty good. One foot in front of the other. Take the weather and throw it out the window. I'm ready for the I'm ready for that spring warmth to come flying in.
Now, what is the box that you have up there?
Oh, that's something I forgot to take off. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just couldn't read it. So I'm like, oh, is that
yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm doing I'm getting ready to on the tailgate do a study of Indiana's RPO passing game and run game this past
a little
year.
Bit about that last week.
Yeah, and about ready to unleash it, doing some updates and some reconfigurations of some things, and they were very good with it. I was surprised. It was a pretty utilized concept in first and second downs for them this year, and very good in scheming up defenses with formations and understanding what they were going to get probably 95% of the time. That gave the quarterback a pretty good picture week in, week out of what to expect on those downs. So they did a great job of, preparing during game week on what the quarterback would see visually. And what really confirmed it for me was I think it was the Nebraska game and Washington game when, after Curtis was hurt and all of a sudden you're throwing your backup quarterback in there. You don't know, Taven's uncertainty, but he really did a great job of understanding that concept of the game. And he was just as effective in those situations as Curtis was. And that just goes to Shanahan and Tino's preparation through the week that enabled them to take a scheme that they could hang their hat on, that when they needed to get 5 yards, they had the combination of either, running the football versus a look that they thought was a good run look, or reading it where the linebackers were getting way up into the line of scrimmage and then they were throwing it behind them with the quick slant routes and things of that magnitude, or out cuts. And it was just a highly effective part of their offensive scheme this year. That defense has had hard times shutting down, even when they got up in the wide receiver's face and played true man-to-man coverage, and the wide receiver had to win the route at the line of scrimmage. And, like Surratt did a great job with that. Williams did a great job with that. Cooper did a great job with that. It was just a really interesting thing to hone in on and just watch that particular phase of the game.
Yeah, and this season you're going to see a lot more of the same, and maybe a lot more effective with Roman Hemby in the backfield, an established running back. So they may and an upgraded offensive line. So this should open up the running game a little bit, which will open up the RPO a little bit more, which will in turn open up the passing options more. So it's a chain reaction type of thing.
Well, you throw Hemby in there, who's going to be, the kid that's coming in from Maryland, and what he brings to that dynamic of the offense, being able to run the ball. You add Black, who's been in that system and understands it. And then you got BB Jr. coming in as well. So when the running backs had the opportunity to run the football against a look that gave Indiana the advantage at the point of attack, the offensive line did a great job of running the ball or blocking the scheme, and the running backs did a good job of staying on their tracks and getting positive yardage throughout the season. And that was the one thing that I thought they did very good of. Now, the one thing in the RPO game that you always have to worry about is offensive linemen being too aggressive and getting too far down the field. You get about a 3-yard cushion for offensive linemen before they throw a flag on them. And I don't think they had any game where they had an offensive lineman downfield penalty when they threw the football. There may have been one, but I'm not positive. But I look at it, trying to think back. I don't think they had any, which is surprising in that regard, because of, that you can get offensive linemen downfield real quick when, they're thinking run and the quarterback's throwing it and they're like, wait a minute, so they did a great job of keeping their discipline there. And then again, like I said, Shannon did a great job of scheming things up, changing things up week to week, formationally, all that type of stuff, and how they approached it, where in some cases the defense couldn't be right. And that's the one thing about this scheme. It really puts a defense in a bind. Trying to take away one play, doable. Trying to take away 2 plays that could happen simultaneously at the point of attack, impossible.
That's never a good word. Well, the good thing, Indiana has beefed up these areas where they were lacking, I guess you'd say, offensive line specifically. And as I was talking before you joined us, a lot of the guys that in these upcoming classes, whether it's on the defensive side of the line or the offensive, 2027 offensive lineman Khalil Johnson, 2026 linebacker Brendan Foley, 4-star target Jeremy Finch. These are all core kind of guys, and it is clear that Indiana there's a wide receiver. I mean, there are 4 stories right there on the Hoosier.com right now, in the middle of basketball season, in the middle of a basketball search. But that's because that action is going on. That they are after it in a way that, and I'm not saying that Tom Allen's guys didn't recruit, but these guys are able to recruit, and it seems like they're starting to be able to recruit at that little bit higher level now, and it's going to slowly creep up. They're not going to just start grabbing 5 stars all of a sudden, and they're not going to have a ton of 5 stars. But Indiana has never had a single 5-star football recruit. I'm surprised that has not changed for this upcoming class, but it has. I have to think that by the next class, they land that first one.
Yeah, I think on either side of the ball, offense or defense, the kid that whatever he thinks he may or may not be, offensive player, defensive player, I think both schemes are exciting for a kid to look at and understand how he could be utilized in the system that Indiana employs. You know, you're getting an offense that was one of the tops in the Big Ten, a defense that's one of the tops in the Big Ten. You got a defensive coordinator that was a Broyles finalist. Unfortunately, Bryant didn't get that. But, you know, him getting on the podium for the Broyles Award in itself for Indiana, I'm not sure they've ever had one. There's a lot of positives in that arena. When you talk to these upper echelon talented kids whose vision is to play in the league, you're going to look, they look at that and, you know, hey, that guy can help me. You know, I can get prepared to go to the league by going to an Indiana. And some of these kids that are maybe the upper echelon recruits, they look at it too as, okay, do you want to go to, I don't know, let's just say Ohio State and maybe sit on the pine for 4 years as a 4-star, 5-star recruit before you hit the field, or you can come to Indiana and you may crack the top 11 in your first year out of the gate. The one thing that I think Indiana's doing a pretty good job in the recruiting aspect right now, Jim, is with some of these top talented, what they have to do is get the top 4 or 5-star kid that's in Indiana to stay home. That in itself is the toughest thing for any Indiana coach throughout the years, is trying to keep the talent kids at home. And there were several kids in the state of the Indiana that went outside of the state to go to school that were top-tiered recruits. Now, if Indiana can crack the door, get 1, maybe 2 of those guys to stay home and go to IU, then I think you see the attractiveness branch out to potential other states in that regard.
Yeah, and that's another thing, in-state recruiting, that I think that they are going to because they have been, I'd say, of the big 3, they've been third. I mean, they've trailed Purdue because Purdue had that burst of success. Now that is obviously changed and will remain changed, I think, for a minute, because Indiana is not a state that produces a ton of football talent, but it does produce talent. Yeah. And when it does, it has generally gone elsewhere. But like, what's the Mikowski kid? Zen Mikowski, I think, went to my high school, Floyd Central, ended up at Ohio State for a couple of years, which is fine because he probably got some great learning years there. But now he is transferred to Indiana. That's another one that Indiana has picked up.
Right.
Mentioned. He's a big dude. I saw that kid play in high school.
Yeah.
Bedford North Lawrence to watch Floyd Central and play when he was a senior. And I was like, holy crap, what is going on? This dude is like being triple teamed because he was
he's 6'8", something like that. He's a giant.
He's a big boy. And so there's a great reason that they got that one. And he just continues to add to what they're doing. And
well, that the thing about a young man like that, now when they have a recruit on campus that is a top-tiered recruit in the state of Indiana, here's a kid that can already speak to what it's like going outside the state, right? And what that may or may not entail for that individual kid, because now you've got somebody that's lived that experience and he can speak to that experience. Not to say that he's going to change a kid's mind, but at least he's going to be able to say, here was the situation. I was this. I went to Ohio State and found out I was one of 25 of the same category, and I could have came to Indiana and had a much better opportunity to put myself in a position that I could maybe play and start for 2 to 3 years, where I could be looked and scouted by the NFL. And that's the biggest thing. So those type of bodies help. Coogan, a kid coming from Notre Dame, and all of a sudden he's at Indiana. I mean, you can see that attractiveness of guys that are coming through the portal.
Actually, they picked up 2 guys from Notre Dame. Didn't they get the tight end?
States. Holden States, who went to Notre Dame, then to Tennessee, and then now he's at Indiana. So, the winning does that. Winning cracks the door. Being in the media's spotlight on a week-to-week basis, wherever it is, wherever it's at, how many times it is, that all helps. I mean, you're fighting free marketing in that regard, because you're cracking the door open for potential kids to say, hey, I want to take a look at Indiana and what they may have to offer me as a player, and potentially the academic aspects of it all too, because we've said, you get a kid on Indiana's campus, it sells itself. And that's one thing that I think they're being able to do now by getting kids in the door to take a look at them.
Oh, no doubt. And but winning, like I always say, winning cures everything.
Yeah, it sure does.
And that's across the lines with fans, with recruiting, with winning. And Indiana is, I just think that they're going to be a better team next season. Now, I don't think they're going to have a better record next year, or even the same record. I don't see them going 11-1 next year. I see 10-2 as the top mark for them.
Mm-hmm.
9-3, I think, would be a solid season, obviously. And again, let me say, I understand how I'm talking right now would sound crazy to a Martian, or to an Earthling who knows anything about Indiana football. For me, talking about 9-3, that would be a good season. And 8-4 would be the bottom to me. 8-4 should be the absolute bottom for that team next year. And I'll be honest with you, I'll be surprised if they hit 8-4 as a bottom. I think 9-3, but you're playing a tougher schedule, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. Playing Illinois is a good team. They're going to be fighting for a CFP spot. Then you have to go to Iowa, Penn State, and Oregon. Those are three absolutely brutally tough games. And I if they can win one of those three and win their home games, boom. I see a 10-2 CFP repeat for that team.
Yeah, it's all there. The only thing different now is that Indiana's got a proven track record from this past season, so they're not going to sneak up on anybody in that respect, irregardless of who they play against each and every week, whether it's Oregon or, Northwestern or Wisconsin, whoever it may be. They're not going to sneak up on anybody just because of what they were able to put on the field a year ago. Now, their biggest task is, can they replicate what they did this past year and continue the upward trend of success? And, that's what I think Curt Cignetti does well. He immediately threw this season out the window. He's not even thinking about what happened this past year. He's already thinking and focusing his team's attention that, look, that we've proved nothing. We have a lot to prove as a team, as individual players, as coaches and such, because last year it doesn't count for this year. So it's 0-0 in this regard.
John asking, do you think that Mendoza is a good fit for the RPO system? I think he's a perfect fit for the RPO system.
The one thing about the RPO system for any quarterback is they're looking at specifics that gives them keys. Now, of course, a guy like Curtis Rourke, who is much experienced and, he's at the top of his game, is, maybe a slight hair better than a young man that's only in the system for 2 years. But Curtis came in for his first year under a new system with Coach Cignetti and Coach Shanahan and Tino, and was able to catch on pretty quickly. Now, we both saw that spring game where Curtis wasn't his best that game. Actually, Taven actually had probably a better spring game than maybe Curtis did, but it is a system that it really lends its hands to a quarterback that that has a smart approach to the game. And I do think that's what Mendoza has. I utilized it when I was coaching. It's not an overly complicated system, but you do have to set the picture for the quarterback during the week so that they get a clean look each and every day in practice, even against your own defense, so that when it comes to the game time, it's a very simplistic, and they've seen it and they understand what they're looking for. That's the one thing. You've got to understand what you're looking for before you can execute that play. It's a count system. It's the number of guys in the box. It's the coverage system. What do you see out in the secondary, and who's going to give you, where are those soft spots that you could take advantage of? So, yeah, I do think that it will lend itself to Mendoza and or whoever else is in that system, even if it's his little brother, Alberto, because he's now been going to be in it for 2 years. So he may be teaching big brother a thing or two come spring practice. But I do think that he'll adapt pretty well to what Indiana likes to do.
We will certainly find out. Coach Shannon Griffith, make sure you check out the Hoosier Tailgate with him as well. And he's with us each Thursday. Appreciate you, Fred.
You got it, partner. And I will let everybody know when that's ready to go, and we'll have it live and in color.
Perfect. Sounds great. We've got lots more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios with the man Bob Kravitz up next. Back right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie Island, Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. Grateful to have Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com along for the ride. How are you, sir?
I'm tremendous, buddy. How are you?
I cannot complain. If I was any better, I'd be Bob Kravitz.
Well,
Just waiting for the spring to break, brother. Waiting for the fall.
When you get older, you become more sensitive to cold. So it's something you got to look forward to. I used to love the cold. Now it's just like, get me the hell out of here.
I never liked it. I don't want any, I don't like being cold. Below 30, below 32 degrees. If it's below freezing, That's not fun.
I think you
things
need to
above
do
me.
need to do some midwinter remotes down in Florida.
I've done that before, and
Have
I
you?
would have done that again this year. It just did not. Indiana football screwed that up for me, to be
Oh
honest with you.
yeah, those bastards.
Yeah, they screwed my deal up, man. So there's that. But lots going on. Indiana basketball and a coaching search. Purdue is fading in the Big Ten a little bit. And so there's there's a race for the title in the Big Ten. We've got that going on. And then of course, Indiana and I'm trying to get confirmation on whether or not Indiana will or will not be playing in the Crown tournament if they do not make the NCAA tournament. Yeah, I see the look on your face. It was one that I had myself not long ago. I was not even aware of the Crown tournament. Exactly. It is a tournament that is supposed to not take the place of the NIT because the NCAA owns the NIT. The Crown tournament was created by Fox, and I'm not sure if they have partners on this, but per Rick, Rick was on with me yesterday, Bozich, and he said that as far as he knows, that conference teams are supposedly not allowed to turn down an invitation if they get it
To the Crown.
to the Crown tournament.
Dude,
So
I had no idea. No idea. Never even
that's
heard of it.
why that's what happens. You learn a lot on
I do.
ISB radio. I got to tell you, I feel very proud. I'm very proud of that.
Well, you should be. You should be. Who sponsors this? I mean, who's
it's a Fox thing that I'll have to pull it up real quick, but Fox put this together, and it's let's see, the Crown. I can't even spell right now. TOUR. But yeah, this is. I had not even heard of this until recently myself. I don't know when this thing was put together, but college hoop fans, a new reimagined postseason college tournament coming to Fox this spring. The college basketball Crown, a 16-team men's postseason tournament, will take place in Las Vegas. Now that's supposed to be one of the draws. March 31st through April 6th. So does this go past the NCAA tournament?
I think so. Yeah, are these teams that are like higher ranked than NIT teams? I would assume.
I think that they're teams that do not make the NCAA tournament. This has nothing to do with the NIT. They are supposed to, from way I understand, if you're not in the NCAA tournament and you get an invitation to this is where you're going.
You got to go. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sure Mike Woodson's looking forward to doing a couple extra games. So
that's my whole point.
Fisher some more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wonder who he's going to start sending up to do the interviews next.
He's running out of assistant coaches,
pulling people out of the crowd. Maybe you.
Yeah.
Maybe me. I don't know.
I'll do it.
I
just think they need to get over the hump, man.
That's all it takes. But I don't know. I wish I knew. Let me
just say this: what he's doing is despicable. It's bad form. I understand that he's deeply hurt, but you know what? It's the way you react to those things. He's still contractually obligated to do pregame shows, postgame shows, and weekly shows, and I know he's cashing that check. So I got a real problem with that. So
there's no doubt, because that's where the bulk of his salary comes from, I believe, is under the media headlines, which encompasses a lot of different things. But the radio show, the pregame shows, the postgame shows, and he has just decided he doesn't have to do that because I don't know how he came to that determination that he was allowed to do that.
Justifies it if he's getting paid. If he's not getting paid, like, I have no problem with the fact that he hasn't addressed his situation with us in the media. I mean, that's his prerogative, and he wants to keep the focus on the season still at hand. But you know, the whole thing with the radio shows and then not making players available after games, what kind of cheap crap is that?
I think that is a way to control, again, what is being said, since he's not going to acknowledge or take questions about it. He doesn't want anybody else in the room to be asked those questions that he can't control. So therefore, he will not put them in the room.
That's just it's, as the kids say, it's weak sauce.
It is very weak sauce, and it is, as Rick pointed out yesterday, it's just points out his insecurities, and
his arrogance.
It's all of that, and I'm like, wow. And the thing is, he doesn't see how much this is exacerbating all of that. It's like he's right and everybody else is wrong, but this is not making it go away. This just elevates it.
Yeah, he's going to go out on a, unless they pull off a miracle, win a couple of quad ones here down the stretch and get into the tournament, which is a long shot at best. He's going to go out with people feeling a certain sort of way about him because he's not handled it well.
No, and there's no way, if that's is his his take on everything, how can you believe that his overall goal is to really give everything to go out and win these final games, to win every time they step on the floor?
Right.
I can't say that I feel that way.
No, I look, I think they could turn things around on Sunday. I think, it's not always who you play, but when you play them, and I think they've got more than a puncher's chance. I'd say they've got a good chance to beat Purdue on Sunday. They got 3 losses in a row. They just got beat up by Michigan State. It's I really think I think they're going to win on Sunday. I really do.
Well, they certainly took Purdue to the mat up in West Lafayette, and truthfully should have won that game.
No doubt.
But I hate to use the word should have, but it's the same way with UCLA. They should have been able to tie that game.
Oh, they had so many opportunities. Mbako with a bunny and then that 3-pointer in the corner.
Well, and here's the thing that to me is my take, that this team continues to fail in moments of opportunity. You look at a team like Michigan, who has won, how many games straight has Michigan won now? Like 6, I believe,
like
or more, on their way to leading the Big Ten. I'm trying to pull up the standings from the ones I want to pull. There we go. Pull it up from. And oh no, damn it, that's the wrong year. But I will get the correct year on here, because they have now won 6 straight.
Right.
But of those 6 straight games, they have all been within 5 points, I believe.
Yeah.
They win the close games, which that is going to do them very go tournament time. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump on you there. We had a little.
No, I was just babbling.
No, it's just, with IU, I mean, those final moments, I want a point guard who I can count upon. And Miles Rice has not had a terrible year. He's had an okay year. He's shown flashes. But late in games, he makes some really questionable decisions. And if your point guard is not setting the table, not getting the ball down to the low post with Renew and Ballo, that's a problem. I mean, he takes some really bad shots at crunch time.
Another problem for Indiana, Mike Woodson doesn't know a lot. I don't think he knows the rules of college basketball. I don't think he knows as far as substituting, he doesn't think ahead at all. This team is never, that's why they're not prepared for these endings. That's why they can't execute, because there's no pre-planning. I don't think they plan for this stuff in practice. Because you should have. When I played high school football, for God's sakes, we practiced the 2-minute offense every stinking week. We may not use it all season, but we practice it every stinking week because it is different than you're running things regularly. It's sped up. It requires execution at a higher level, and it requires you to do those things and to be really on point mentally, because you have to make decisions that there cannot be screw-ups in that time.
Right.
I don't think that they work on that, because time after time they did nothing but screw it up. And I'm talking from the coaching staff down. And Miles Rice, after his first 2 mishaps at the end of the games, why in God's green earth was he the guy that had his ball in his hands at Purdue? And then Mike Woodson talks about, well, I tried to call a timeout, I couldn't get his attention. First of all, that's a lie. Call your own damn timeout. Number 2, watch the tape. He wasn't trying to get anybody's attention.
No,
he wasn't. He was oblivious. And this is not meant to be a bash Mike Woodson thing, because that ship has sailed. But it just aggravates me.
Yeah,
with all that stuff. He doesn't get the players' names right some of the times. You're not engaged. So to throw this temper tantrum is even worse, because it is on you. This is all on you. And
gotta look in the mirror, man.
It is. I will say this now, not from the coaching, but it's very Bob Knight-esque. As great a coach as Bob. Now, see, Bob Knight was a great coach. There was a different deal there. Sure. He knew what he was doing. Bob also had that same, if you don't think what I think, you're wrong.
Yeah, if you're not with us, you're
persona non grata. Exactly. But I don't know. I just have to think that all this ancillary stuff that's going on has to be going on in practice as well. And so it's like, wow, that makes it even more difficult for this team to accomplish anything down the stretch.
It's a shame, because Mike is a playing legend, and he came here with so much goodwill. I give him, among many others, credit for bringing Coach Knight back to Assembly Hall. The fact, Knight came back because of Woodson and because it was time, but I don't know.
Horse crap.
Huh?
I say horse crap to that. He came back because his buddy was on the board of trustees and kind of shoehorned Scott Dolson into making this hire.
No, I'm talking about Bob Knight coming back.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I'm talking about that Woodson played a role in bringing. Knight came back because one of his own was coaching. So I don't know. It's I hate to see his legacy besmirched at this point. He was a great player. He was a coach who was a little arrogant, didn't put the time in. Just not good. And he's
and I don't think it's going to affect his legacy as a player.
No,
because they were so far removed from each other that and he didn't win a national title. He missed out on that, unfortunately for him.
Right, just by 1 year.
Yeah, but he was a tremendous player at a tremendous time for Indiana. So I can separate that easily. They're not the same to me. I didn't know him as a player. I only know him in this regard. So
I just think younger people who don't remember 1980, and there's a lot of people like that. All they know about Mike Woodson is he came to Indiana and failed. And so I think for them, that's the prism through which they're going to view Mike Woodson.
That's funny. Williams, this is switching gears a little bit,
Sure.
but Williams says that CBS predicts, if you can find that, Williams, send me a little bit more of a direct link. CBS predicts IU football will be sub 500 in the Big Ten next season. Well, I will argue that one all day long, although they do have a much tougher schedule. There will be no bitching and moaning about Indiana's schedule next year simply because of the away games at Iowa, at Oregon, and at Penn State. And as a matter of fact, the at Iowa and at Oregon are back to back.
Yeah.
And that comes off of playing Illinois at home, another team that has CFP aspirations. So I think Iowa is going to be a much improved team because they pulled in this quarterback from South Dakota who can throw the ball. And we have never seen an Iowa team that can throw the ball. So if they have the running game going and they can now throw it and they've got a solid defense, they're going to be a player. The Big Ten is going to be, I think, upgraded next year. I think all these teams are going to upgrade, but I still think that Indiana, I think they wind up, my prediction is 10-2 and back in the college football playoffs. 93.
Well, I'll tell you what, I trust you implicitly because we'll tell the story. We were in Terre Haute, Terre Haute, right? No, French Lick.
French Lick, yes.
French Lick. And you're telling me how IU's going to win 10 games and 11 games and 100 games. I'm like, are you doing drugs again? And I was like, oh, they'll be 500, maybe, a game better than once. It's an easy schedule. I mean, but you saw it. So whatever you say, I'm betting the house on it.
Well, as a matter of fact, speaking of, I don't make big bets. I did on that, and that ticket is still sitting up in front of me, stuck to the wall. I've yet to go back down there and cash that baby. I will at some point, trust me. But
that'll buy dinner.
Hey, I wish I'd have been the guy that was really smart. I appreciate the credit. I really do. But there was a guy who made a bet, and I saw it posted. Before the season, he bet $110, I guess, covering the VIG, that Indiana would make the college football playoffs.
Damn.
He bet $100. You know
what were the odds on that? Do you know?
I don't remember the odds, but I can tell you what it paid, so you can figure it out. He bet $100 and won 10,500.
Holy smokes!
Yeah,
I almost forgot where I was.
Don't worry, I could have edited it, but that would have been one of those moments. I wish to gosh I would have even thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, you knew they were going to win what, 10, 11 games. I mean, you had.
I felt that, but I was not smart enough to do that. That's being smart and me have never been confused for being one and the same.
Yeah, I understand. Well, it's still a good call.
Yep. Indiana, he's back to basketball. They have got to finish the season. Purdue coming to town on Sunday with yet another opportunity. And as crazy as it is, Indiana is still like the 5th or 6th team out of the tournament, which means they're actually still within reach because of their schedule. If they could get a win over Purdue and follow that up with a win over Oregon, just those 2 wins alone. And then they have Ohio State at home, who is also an NCAA tournament team that they've already beaten. If they could get those 3 wins, damn it, they may yet sneak into the tournament.
And wouldn't that, I mentioned this in a column, wouldn't it be something if they went on some crazy ass run won a couple of games, got in the tournament, won a couple of games. This team has got enough talent not only to make the NCAA tournament, but to do a little something. And obviously they've underachieved all year, but it is not beyond the realm of possibility that they could turn this whole thing around very quickly.
Nope. And it would be not surprising because we see that happen a lot of times when teams are facing an adversity or whatever, and boom, it's a different mentality for whatever reason. Who knows? Maybe they're getting bonuses if they win.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? That's how the NIL should be set up. Smaller payments, bonuses if this is achieved. How about that?
There you go.
What's up next for you, brother?
Well, I got IU Purdue on Sunday, and the Ballard and Steichen will be talking at the Combine on Tuesday. So we'll be watching over that.
Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. Thank you as always. We'll see you on Sunday, I guess, then.
Well, I won't be down there, but I'll be watching closely.
You'll be there in spirit.
In spirit.
Be there in spirit.
I'm going to Nashville this weekend for a hockey game, so I won't be getting. Yeah,
I've been to a hockey game in Nashville. It is
in Bridgestone. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
it cool. We're seeing the Preds and the Avalanche.
I was down there for a roping when I was competing in team roping.
Yeah,
and literally had my truck and trailer with the horses in it. And I remember we found a spot where we could park the truck and trailer. We backed up to a concrete wall so no one could get into the back of the horse trailer where the horses were. And off we went to the game and then back out and gone, baby.
Yeah. What did you rope?
Steers.
Okay.
And it's called team roping. One guy ropes the horns, turns the steer. Another guy, your partner, ropes the back legs as fast as possible.
Oh, that's not a real big sport in suburban New York City.
See that right there? That picture over my that shoulder.
Yeah. Yes.
There, but that's me. It's a picture, but that's a painting. That's me there, and my partner's over there. But that's in Las Vegas at a rope.
Very cool. I didn't know that about you.
Man,
you're a cowboy. You're a rhinestone cowboy.
Ooh, just take the second part better.
Yeah, okay.
Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Make sure you're giving him a follow and keeping up with all the great things that he writes. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, my man.
Back with more right after this. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. And you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday, and we are always grateful to be joined by Mr. Chris Denari, the voice of the Indiana Pacers. When you're not traveling all over the world, and luckily you're still on the backside of the All-Star break, I guess.
Yeah, game tonight. Memphis, Zach Edey and the Memphis Grizzlies at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So 6 of the next 7 at home, only travel once in the next couple of weeks. So that's going to be very nice.
I bet you hate that.
I tell you what, we were in Washington last week, ended the road swing before the All-Star break with that comeback win. It's been a nice week, just sort of, though it's cold, there's not a lot you can do, right? Not a lot you can do around the outside of the house. But just taking some time, a week good grandson time, and now kicks back in for the final 29 games. Basically, tonight starts the final third of the season. The Pacers through the first 2/3 are 30-23, fourth in the Eastern Conference, and with 18 of their final 29 at home, that's a real advantage for the Pacers. But when you look at the home schedule, Jim, Memphis tonight, they're number 2 in the West. The Clippers on Sunday, and then a back-to-back with Denver on Monday. So while you do have a lot of games at home, you have a lot of tough games at home as well. And the only time that you'll see teams like Memphis, the Clippers, and Denver at Gainbridge Fieldhouse this year.
And we'll get maybe a potential rematch of IU Purdue if Thomas Bryant happens to be in the game and facing up with Zach Edey at some point.
Yeah, Thomas has played very well. You know, right before the All-Star break, Miles Turner missed a number of games with a neck issue. He got hit in the face by his own teammate. And so Thomas Bryant's had to start and played very well. I think over the last 5 games, Jim, Thomas has averaged 14 points and almost 10 rebounds, a near double-double. So what a pickup that was back in December. And if you think about it, it sort of coincided with how the Pacers performed, because right before they got Thomas, the Pacers were 10-15 and really didn't have a true backup center. Once they were able to get Thomas and work him into the second unit, the Pacers have been a much different team. So while not all the credit goes to Thomas, I think credit should go to him. He's adapted well. His teammates welcomed him. He just plays with such a fire and a spirit. It's been really good to see.
Yeah, and when you leave college and move on to the pros, and he's been a pro for what is this, his
8th year? It's hard to believe.
Season. It is an adaptation. Your freshman year as a pro, it's like going back to school, because there are so many things that you have to learn, and they are all elevated, whether it's the speed of the game, whether it's the defense of the game, whether it's the practice, whether it is how you conduct yourself, and whether it is the amount of games, the travel. Everything is elevated, but you also have to elevate yourself and how you handle things and how you handle the media, how you handle fans, but most importantly, that you are a professional and you treat this as a job like it is the most important thing. And that's what makes a difference between the guys that are uber successful and the ones that are not.
And I think the other thing, Jim, is, he was really playing well in Washington and had a knee injury, and that really set him back. And so for him to come back, and you see athletes do this in multiple sports, come back from a significant injury, but it's not easy with the rehab. He had played very, very well in Washington. He was their starting center, and then suffers that knee injury, and that, created opportunities that he had to overcome. He went to Miami. They opted to go with another younger IU backup center, and in fact, he's starting at times Khalil Ware. So that made Thomas available. I was listening to another podcast earlier in the week, Pacer-centric, and Chad Buchanan, the GM, said that when the Pacers were looking to add another center, because they had Miles Turner and Isaiah Jackson over the summer, they had really honed in on Thomas Bryant and James Wiseman. And the reason they picked James is, at the time, they just felt he was a little younger and maybe had a little bit bigger upside for a longer period of time. Well, then James goes out with the Achilles injury. Isaiah Jackson goes out with the Achilles injury, and you need a backup center. And they had to wait until December 15th to make the acquisition of Thomas Bryant. They couldn't do it any earlier. And so they had done their intel on Thomas. They knew what kind of player and person he was, what kind of pro, as you said, Jim, he is, and they are very happy to have him.
Absolutely. And it has definitely made a difference to this team, but this team has also made a difference. We've seen them kind of come alive. And now I wonder, with this all-star break, because they had been playing so well, I forget now the streak, how many games did they end up winning out of so many before the break?
Well, they were 10-2 in January. They're 14-5 in 2025. But, February, I think, had turned into a grind after coming back from Paris and playing so well. So even though they won 3 games out of their last 5 on the road, the slow starts were a problem. I mean, think about it. They came back. They were down 15 in Utah, won. They were down 22 against the Clippers and won. They were down 19 against Washington and won. So while that's all fine and good, I do think the break came at a really good time for them because, 1, they had played the most away games in the NBA, and 2, that meant you had played the fewest amount of home games in the NBA. So I do think the break came at a good time, a couple of days of practice after getting back from All-Star break, and now you have 6 of the next 7 at home. I think that hopefully will be an advantage for the Pacers.
4 straight at home, and that's a little unusual. I mean, you get 3, but to get 4 straight games at home, I don't know that I remember seeing that.
There are some teams that have had 5 or 6 straight at home. In fact, from the start of the season till February 1st, Jim, the Pacers had the fewest back-to-back, what I'm saying, not back-to-back games, back-to-back home games, 2 games in a row. Only 3 times in the first 2/3 of the season did the Pacers ever have back-to-back home games. So one time they had 4 straight. They've got 4 straight again. I think they've got 3 or 4 straight later in the year. So fortunately, the schedule here at the end of the year is sort of catching up with the Pacers, and it's turning into a little bit more favorable as far as the home games versus the road games are concerned.
And not only that, they've got a games against the vaunted Nuggets at home as part of that 4-game stretch. That's the 3rd game of that. The Toronto Raptors coming in, the Clippers and the Grizzlies tonight. Then they go on the road to face the Heat and Khalil Ware from Indiana having a good year. Then come back home for the Bulls, the Rockets. And it's just set up. I guess the big key is, can they continue playing the way they were playing right before this break? Because sometimes, boy, you hit that break and things change for no reason.
Yeah, I just think they got to figure out a way to get off to better starts. That hampered them, even in the 3 wins that they had right before the break on the road, Utah, Clippers, and Washington. You just don't want to keep digging yourself holes. I think, the good news is this team has proven that they can come back from double-figure deficits, but you don't want to do that all the time. I think for all the teams, it was good to have a break, to get away, get off your feet, get someplace warm, and especially if you're in a colder environment. I do think for a number of players, Andrew Nembhard has played so well this year, but right before the break, I think he had hit a little bit of a wall. So I do think the break came at a good time to re-energize, refocus, and look at the final third of the season and what you can do. Right now, the Pacers are in the 4th spot in the East. That would be home court advantage in the first round. Let's see if they can keep that. Remember, a year ago, they were 6th in the Eastern Conference and won first-round matchups against both Milwaukee and New York before getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's see what the Pacers can do starting tonight with the final third of the regular season.
Absolutely. And to keep that going is of uber importance for them to stake, because they've worked hard to get where they are in the conference standings. And that matters as far as home games when you're playing in there. Of course, if you move on, you're obviously going to not be the higher seeded team, but as high as you can get is going to benefit you in the playoffs.
Oh, no question. I mean, the Pacers, it was difficult last year, even against Milwaukee. What I always find last year against the series against Milwaukee is everybody talks about how Giannis didn't play. Okay, he didn't play. But in the regular season, the Pacers won 4 of the 5 games against the Bucks with Giannis. But what they had to do last year, without home court advantage, they had to at least win a game on the road. And that's what the Pacers did in Game 2 in the Bucks series and in Game 7 in the Knicks series. They won games on the road. And if you don't have home court advantage, that's what you have to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last thing before we go, one of the names being batted around by, there's just several, but for the IU coaching position, Chris Collins. Now, I mentioned him only because of the NBA connection. He's done a pretty damn good job at a place that is pretty hard to coach at Northwestern. you don't have the resources there. And I just wonder what a coach like that at an IU that has those kind of resources would be like. Big NBA background, his family well known in the NBA as well.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's interesting. You'd have to go back through, and I'm sure it's happened with a coach leaving one program in a conference going to another. But yeah, Chris Collins, his dad Doug, was a tremendous player at Illinois State, an Olympic player, longtime NBA coach, longtime NBA broadcaster. Yeah, great genes. You're right. What Chris Collins has done after his playing career at Duke and what he's done at Northwestern, you're right. He does not have the same resources and the same setup that the Indianas and the Purdues and the Ohio States and the Michigan States have. So that will be interesting to see. That's an interesting name. Would somebody leave one school in a conference to go to another?
Well, that's the quandary that they have with their potential and probable number one selection, Dusty May, who is at Michigan in his first season.
Yeah, I tell you what, the next, you still got to get through this season and get through March Madness a little bit, but March could be madness down in Bloomington, right? With what the Hoosiers are going to try to do to get a new coach.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, my friend. As always, enjoy the broadcast and the homestand.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
You bet. The great Chris Denari joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Up next, K-Bro joins us, Kevin Brockway. Looking forward to it. As always, we're back with more right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria in Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. Looking forward to talking to K-Bro here in a minute. Kevin Brockway will join us, former IU beat writer, now on the Florida beat with the Gainesville Sun, but keeps up with everything, but is covering a team in Florida that I think is a Final Four team, man. They are I'd say I think they're number 3 in the poll right now, or have they moved up? I haven't checked it lately, but I know that they have a number 1 seed right now in the NCAA tournament. And that's pretty amazing. But I remember watching them last year in Indianapolis at the NCAA tournament and saw what they had going on. Saw Todd Golden, how he coached. He's a guy that would be great for Indiana. I'm telling you. I don't see, and I'll pop this comment back up when K-Bro joins us here in a little bit, but I don't see any chance of Indiana getting Todd Golden for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's in Gainesville, Florida, in the SEC. And more importantly, he has a buyout of just over $14 million, I believe. I just think that's too high. I think anything over 10, I think $8 million is the ballpark you would like to stay in, but they're probably going to be forced to get up to 10 in a buyout situation. But I think 14 is, I don't see them doing that. Although, you have to look at the return on investment by not doing something. So we'll see. K-Bro joining us now, just in time, K-Bro, Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun, former IU beat writer. But I was just talking about Florida because there are a couple of different reasons. Obviously, Todd Golden doing a tremendous job. And I remember last year watching the NCAA tournament in Indianapolis with you and thinking, boy, this Florida team, man, they're better than you just don't think about it. And then all of a sudden they are. And now this season, they have gotten better. They're a Final Four team. Doesn't mean they're going to make the Final Four, but they are going to have every opportunity. They're going to go in as a number 1 seed unless their season falls apart here at the end. And I don't expect that. Todd Golden has done a tremendous job. His name's been batted around a little bit, but his buyout is just too high, I think, for Indiana or anyone to look at him at $14 million thereabouts.
Yeah, Jim. And they're playing really, during this 5-game winning streak, they've scored, 80 or more 5 straight times. They've made 10 or more threes in all 5 of those games. So offensively, they're just playing at a really high level. And certainly they did last year too, in scoring 100 points against Colorado. But the difference was in the game that we watched last year, Colorado scored 102. This year, they're defending a little better. They're a little bit more of a complete team. I mean, if you look at their KenPom numbers, they're 5 in adjusted offensive efficiency and 7 in adjusted defensive efficiency. So they're doing it on both ends this year, and that's why they've had the big jump in wins. I mean, they're 23-3. They'll match their win total with one more win. They got LSU this weekend, then they go to Georgia 2 in a row on the road, and then finish up with Texas A&M, which can be dangerous, and Ole Miss, Chris Beard, which can be dangerous. A couple of perhaps Indiana coaching candidates, right? Chris Beard and Buzz Williams, and then go to Alabama too, which lost to Missouri last night. And I was watching a little bit of that game, and Tamar Bates is doing a nice job there as well with the Tigers.
Tamar Bates, as someone mentioned that in the comments earlier, that he is playing tremendously better than he did at IU. But I think most players that have left Indiana have improved their game for whatever reason, just like it seems like a lot of players that have, and not all, because there have been some guys, the bigs, that have gone on to the NBA, Khalil Ware, Trace Jackson Davis. But I guess you could mention Jalen Hood-Schifino, but he was he had a cup of coffee in the NBA. But for the most part, players that come here seem to regress. You look at this lineup that they have of guys they brought in this year from the reigning Pac-12 freshman of the year. Boy, he's been just up and down. He's been good, but he's been bad. He's been bad at critical times has been the problem. Then you look at Kanan Carlisle, and he's just been a complete bust. He cannot hit from deep. If he was in a boat trying to hit the water, his percentage is like sub 20%. Doesn't play much. I know he's making a boatload of money. These guys are all getting paid unbelievably well. It's crazy. I mean, they're all being paid more than their parents made in half a lifetime, probably. And I wonder, I know it doesn't affect everybody because other teams have players that are being paid. I don't know that other teams have as many players being paid as well as this one is. I don't know. Now that's not the problem. I don't think. I think it's properly at the top and comes down because Mike Woodson is just not a good college coach. He's just not. And I think that is shown over and over. And it's being shown with his temper tantrum on the way out. He's not keeping up with his commitments to do the post-game show with pregame or post-game shows with Don Fisher or his radio shows. And I wonder, how can a coach that is checked out from that stuff not be checked out from everything else?
Well, Todd Golden, not the coach, but Todd Aaron Golden did a good story about contractually, right? Isn't he obligated to do some of these
he's
radio
being paid
shows?
For it.
And so I think that's interesting as well. But I think that it's been unfortunate. Evaluations in the transfer portal are so important. Again, I'll go back to Florida and their success. Walter Clayton Jr., who learned for 2 years in Iona under Rick Pitino, and he's now, the lead guard, leading scorer, leading assist guy on this team, a guy that's, probably going to be an AP All-American in the running for SEC Player of the Year, first-team SEC player. You got to get those right. You got to get those evaluations right. You got to, and sometimes it's not even about necessarily the talent as individual players, but you have to understand how they all fit together. And I think that's what, Todd Golden has done a really good job of meshing people. I did a story earlier about the three guards, and, when they brought Elijah Martin in, he had him spend the whole day with Walter Clayton Jr. and Will Richard because he knew he was going to be playing with them. And, they went out and they went to a student manager's house. They watched the UFC fight last spring. They just to check and see about the chemistry, not just on the court, but off the court. Are these guys going to get along? And, Will Richard said he could tell by the end of the full day, like, hey, look, this guy is going to be, he's about the right things. He's going to fit in really well with our team. So a lot of it is, not just the on-court, but the off-court too, trying to get guys in the transfer portal, figure out guys that kind of can mesh and gel and that are happy for each other's success. And I think that's something that, when you're building a team in this day and age is so important.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's been the issue for Indiana. They bring guys in that I don't know that if Mike Woodson thinks that they fit what he's trying to do, because it doesn't, it seems like he brought in the right types of players, but not for what he's trying to do, which is just run everything through the bigs this way. The perimeter offense is not an important part of it, but he brought people in that would actually work if he ran it, but that's not what he's doing. And then Bryson Tucker, who, had unbelievable bright moments early on, then disappeared to the bench. It's a really wonder. If a player's having a hot hand, say towards the back half of the first half, you would expect that guy to start coming out. Nope, that doesn't happen. And it's just been weird, but Indiana, I keep talking about this. Dude, they still have a shot at making the tournament. They're like the 5th or 6th team out right now, but they have opportunities coming, and we've seen them play all of the top teams in the Big Ten Conference close. Michigan, Purdue, not Wisconsin, but everybody else, they played tight. They beat Michigan State in East Lansing. How the hell is that possible? I don't know. But that was probably, if Mike Woodson, if someone asked him, how were you guys able to beat Michigan State in East Lansing? I wish I knew.
Well, didn't they park a zone in that game and try to let him shoot threes?
Yeah.
And that worked?
But the funny thing is, to me, what blew my mind was watching them play that zone. They were playing the best man-to-man defense I had seen them play all year out of the zone. It was like weird. It's like it clicked in their mind differently that they actually have to guard this guy, which they did, because Indiana gives up an unbelievable amount of what I call open 3-point shots to teams. And it's because they're just so lax on defense. But for whatever reason, playing the zone spurred them to play better.
Are they lax, or are they not quick or athletic enough to make the rotations?
That's part of it, because just watching, where the guards were just obliviously faster than Indiana. It was UCLA. You could just tell the guards are just too fast. And that's, but I still think, I wonder if it's just coaching, putting guys in the right position, setting them up to do things correctly. I don't know if that Indiana is slower or they're just a step behind. And there's a difference. When you don't know to anticipate certain things, then you're a step behind. And if you let somebody who is quick get a step on you, you're beat. And we see that a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's tough and it's not easy, but I will get back to, some of Indiana's issues. I will get back to this point again with Florida. Florida has won 5 in a row. They've scored 80 in a row in 5. Why? Because they've made 10 or more threes in all 5 of those games. And that's been the big bugaboo for Indiana, right? All these years, finding guards that can shoot, finding volume 3-point shooters, finding multiple three. And I know Luke Goody is kind of a stretch 4 a little bit. And Florida has that with Thomas Houck. But, Florida plays 2 bigs and 3 out, like Indiana. But the difference is one of those bigs, as I mentioned, can kind of step out and shoot and is a threat on the perimeter. And I guess that with Indiana, you don't necessarily have that, right, with Renew and Ballo inside. But that's the way of the game. You got to get shooting. You got to space the floor. You got to have a big that can shoot from beyond the arc. That's the modern game. And I don't think that's something that Indiana has ever really gotten, certainly in my years there when I was covering them, and it seems like post that as well.
Yeah. And you're fortunate to be covering a team that is going to get a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, man. They're going to have a good shot at making the Final Four. They have a team that is good enough to do it. Obviously, they went into Auburn. Are they the only team to go into Auburn and win?
Yeah, and they were pretty impressive. Arkansas, Cal, they gave Auburn a pretty good game last night. I was watching that game last night, but Auburn, kind of pulled away and made the plays down the stretch when they had to. And, of course, Missouri beat Alabama. So, they were, the NCAA schedule reveal, right, was last week. They had them as a 1 seed in the West in San Francisco. I kind of asked Todd about it, and Todd said, hey, look, we're playing for the number 1 overall seed. We want to be, that team. And that would set them up in the South and Atlanta, which would be really good. But my thinking is if they, they're probably going to put Duke in Newark. So Florida can hold on to that number 1 seed. Alabama is slipping a little bit. We're seeing that. I mean, I could, and if Auburn stays in the South, I think Florida would rather play in Indianapolis in the Midwest than they would go all the way out to the West Coast. And if that's the case, Jim, then, maybe I'll be seeing you up in Indy again. We'll have a good time.
That would always be fun. Go back to and maybe watch you do some karaoke someplace.
That would be
Mr.
That would be always great. But stay away from the Wild Beaver. What's that place where I always see the cop cars? Or
the Wild Beaver says enough. The Wild Beaver says it all.
But we'll find the spot. I always love the pizza at the Ale Emporium too. That's a good spot.
There you go. So you've got that going for you. But there's no doubt that Florida is not only going to be in the tournament, but probably receiving a number 1 seed. Indiana, on the other hand, they still have a shot. I've said this a lot today, and I'm repeating myself. They have to do what they haven't been able to do late, and that is close a game out. They have had so many opportunities against highly ranked teams, very good teams, and just can't close it out. They had a shot against at UCLA. They had a chance against Purdue. They had a chance against Maryland. They played Michigan well, but didn't really have a chance at the end of the game to win that game. But they were within striking distance. And these are the top teams in the Big Ten Conference. So it's not shocking that they could damn near beat Purdue in West Lafayette. So you would hope that when they get them at home, that it goes a little bit better for them. But they've got to be able to make decisions at the end of games and be prepared for that. I don't think that they are prepared for it.
Yeah, I think right now, what are they, 6-9 in the league? You'd like to see them get back up or close to 500 in the Big Ten and then make a run in the Big Ten tournament, kind of like a couple of years ago. And then they snuck into that first 4 game and beat Wyoming and then, flew out west and you saw what happened there with St. Mary's. But that's that kind of goal, I guess, is still attainable, right? If you can get on a run here late in the Big Ten schedule. I know you got the second game against Purdue, and Purdue's coming off a loss to Michigan State. Maybe you're getting them at the right time, but I think it's got to start there for them. Pull off that win against a top 25 team, get another resume win, and try to close the Big Ten strong. That would probably be the best way for them to do it.
Yeah, and it's just we don't know where this team's mental state is. Because I say that because it starts and ends with Mike, the head coach, and he has checked out. He doesn't do pregame or postgame shows with Don Fisher anymore. He doesn't do his radio show. That he's contracted to do all of this stuff and being paid handsomely to do it. So is a guy that is just put all that out of how can he not have put the rest of it away? Not that it was there greatly to begin with, but I just wonder, what are they doing? How are practices set up? I'd really like to know that period overall, how they were before, but even now, who's doing what? Who's running practice? Are they really scouting for this next opponent? Are they game planning for the next opponent? I'd love to know that, but that's stuff that is all behind the scenes.
Well, and it bleeds down to the assistants too, because Mike Woodson is 66, 67. I mean, he can ride off into retirement, but these younger guys, I mean, what are their futures going to be, and what's weighing on their mind in terms of having to look for another job somewhere. So I think that's where you see it, and the assistants do so much of the hand-on work. So, I mean, how distracted are they, right, in this situation, in terms of how they're coaching or what they're spending their time on as well. So it all kind of bleeds into it. It makes it really tough, and it makes it a challenge. But if you're a professional, you go about your job, you do the job that, the best job you can until it's over. And like you said, you try to sell them on something to play for. I mean, like you said, they're not getting blown out of these games. So that tells me that I think they're still, if they were losing all these games by 20 or 30 points, I'd say, yeah, they checked out. But I think the fact that they've been competitive, they beat Michigan State, tells me that the coaching staff is still trying and that they're still
the saddest part. Okay, bro, the saddest thing is I think that's all simply on talent. It's not necessarily on game planning. It's not necessarily on what they're doing, their offensive scheming and all of that. I don't think that it is. I think it's sheer talent that is getting them to where they are. And that's just the sad thing is, because if they had proper scheming, if they had all of this, if they were doing everything, they would probably be winning these games.
Well, listen, you're closer than I am, so I'll defer to your judgment on this. I mean, they did make that adjustment in the zone in the Michigan State game. So you got to give Mike a little kudos for that. But I think, as we've discussed before, I think Indiana's problems are more roster construction evaluation in my mind than maybe the X's and O's. The fact that they've built this roster that can't make threes, right? That, maybe isn't quick or athletic enough defensively to, that's just my opinion on the matter. But I'm looking at it a little bit more from the outside than you are, but I'm seeing, the teams around the country that are successful are the ones that are doing that.
Absolutely. K-Bro is with us, Kevin Brockway, and we are glad about it. We've got to take a quick break so we can keep the man. Somebody's got to pay for the big man's lap dances, right? All right, just kidding. A little old school action there.
Stop it now.
Little old school. We're back with more right after this.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing, or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition, or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie Island, Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. We've got K-Bro with us. And do you like that little reference to old school?
Yeah, I don't know. Did you, by the way, so did you see the SNL 50 on Sunday night? The 50th anniversary skit? Yeah.
Nothing. The Black Jeopardy was incredible with Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
Yeah. You had Tracy Morgan on the deal as a contestant on Jeopardy, and then you had Eddie Murphy, but Tracy Morgan was playing someone else. Eddie Murphy was playing Tracy Morgan.
It was great,
and it was hilarious. He did an incredible impersonation of him. It was funny.
Well, I was going to reference the first skit, obviously, Dennis and Robert Goulet. And so that got me thinking, when Will Ferrell did Robert Goulet, that got me to thinking of those ESPN commercials in the 90s, which I sent you, those lounge commercials promoting college basketball, which were, brilliant, right? When you look back on that and when he's doing like, na-na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na.
No,
hey,
I don't know. I hope we don't get hit with for YouTube at least for the to ding us on this, but I've got to play it. It is absolutely hilarious. And
the Robert Goulet commercials were so in the 90s. They were so good. They were just hysterical in terms of
because he wants to meet. You haven't met our new engineer. There's Hank. Say hi.
Oh, how about that? Say hi, Hank. How are you, buddy?
All right, now go back to the booth and get something done. But yeah, here's a snippet, or at least a portion of this video. How old is this thing?
This was probably like from the 1990s. Yeah. And they did a Bob Knight one with Indiana too. That was really good. Yeah.
But it's Robert Goulet. He just Robert Goulets this, and it's awesome because I can see Will Ferrell doing this commercial because you can't see it. The video. Robert Goulet is in a recording session, and they're playing a video in the background of Bob Knight in his sweater, and it's just to promote the NCAA tournament. But it was hilarious. Have yourselves a listen.
When some ref starts blowing his whistle like he was Benny Goodman, you can't blame a cat for getting kooky.
Getting kooky, I love that.
Sweater on his back. He will grab
Love that line as well. So I keep taking it away, so maybe we don't get hit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Those V-necks are gorgeous. They come in Angora.
That was.
I love that sweater. Can you get it, Angora? No.
Yeah, that's just hilarious. But you almost have to see the video to get it because it is like watching an SNL sketch, man, with Will Ferrell, but Robert Goulet, Goulet-ing the hell out of it. But Yeah, keep on going. That was great. Thanks. I couldn't remember. I'm glad you remember that stuff. Those ESPN commercials were freaking incredibly funny. When they were all the ones that they did there with, I remember the Manning brothers, and they're walking down the hall, and I think Peyton, I don't know what you call that, but you back kick somebody when you throw the leg around them and kick them in the rear. And they're acting like two goofy kids, but yeah, those things were great. I don't know why they don't bring them back. They were absolutely funny. Indiana in the depths of a coaching search, K-Bro, that is going to be slow going. There's just not going to be any information coming out. Scott Dolson is going to do this on the sly as much as possible for obvious reasons. Any coach that he wants to talk to or offer or whatever is working, is busy, is coaching a team in the regular season now. Then they're going to be in a conference tournament. And there's no doubt that any team or any coach that is being looked at, their team is playing in the NCAA tournament. So they're going to be busy for a while, but we know how back channeling works. If there's interest, great. Then you start doing background checks and all that. I keep saying this whole thing hinges on Dusty May. There's no doubt he's going to get a job offer from Indiana. I think that goes without question. It would be ignorant not to. It was ignorant not to do it last year. Let's be honest, because you wouldn't be in this situation now. You'd be looking at fighting for a Big Ten championship right now, most likely, because Vladislav Golden would be playing at Indiana. Danny Wolf would be playing at Indiana. So it would be a completely different setup.
It comes down to the transfer portal evaluations again, as I say, roster construction.
Yep, unfortunately. And so now they have to wait and do this process. And that's makes it a little bit more difficult. You look at football when Scott Dolson hired Kurt Cignetti, boom, the announcement that Tom Allen was fired came out on whenever, I think a Friday or maybe, and then bam, it's when 3 days later we know Kurt Cignetti has been hired. That's not the case this time. There's going to be about 6 weeks in between the quote unquote resignation and the hiring of a new coach. And I generally teams don't get their first choice. And Dusty May was without question Indiana's first choice. It's just a very, very tough decision.
What about Brad Stevens is the pipe dream, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's out. He's already, again, I never, ever believed that was a possibility for reasons I've already given numerous times. And he's made it clear he's not a candidate. Now, Dusty May did not do that when he had the opportunity at Indiana. They played. Yeah. He did not at all put that away because he's going to get either way, this season is going to bring him a nice new contract, whether that is from Indiana or Michigan, but it's coming regardless. But if he says no, my question is, okay, where's the next call for Indiana? Yeah. Let me tell you, it's not Chris Beard. It's not Todd Golden, too high of a buyout. It could be Mick Cronin. It could be Ben McCollum. It could be Chris Collins or one of those guys because of the buyouts and the viability. Hiring a guy is all about timing. That's why Indiana screwed the pooch last season by not making this move and bringing in Dusty May. I'm not saying Dusty May is the choice. That's not what I'm saying. But they could have avoided this situation. And look what you're dealing with what's in now anyway. So what the hell? You might as well have canned his ass last season. Yeah. He's going to whine and moan like a child anyway, even though he's being paid millions and millions of dollars, and he's still going to get millions of dollars to not coach. So I was like, just shut up and go away, man. Take your money. Be happy. You did not get the job done. I'm sorry you can't see that. No one wants to bash you, but when you make it this difficult, you make it difficult not to bash you. So anyway, getting back to the point, I don't know who Indiana's second call is going to be to. That's the $64,000 question.
Well, here's the thing. Curt Cignetti, obviously you get back to that point. He has a relationship with Mark Byington, right, at Vanderbilt.
I was watching them play last night, dude. They played Kentucky, unbelievable for the first half, and got their ass kicked in the second half.
Yeah, and that's and look, they've they're starting to they had some big wins. I mean, they beat Tennessee and Kentucky at home. It's a lot harder, as to win the SEC on the road, but he has opened some eyes in terms of Vandy was picked last in the SEC, and he's got them playing a little better than expected.
And he worked with Curt Cignetti at James Madison.
Exactly. And does Curt have that kind of juice to, in the athletic department?
He has already he's already made a statement that he has nothing to do with that. So I believe that because and again, that brings up this: how many college coaching search jobs require an NBA president from the Boston Celtics to say that I'm not a candidate, then for the football coach to make a statement that I have no bearing on this search?
But I'm sure if Scott asks, I'm sure if Scott asks Curt, he'll give a good opinion. Someone mentions Chris Jans. Chris Jans, a good defensive coach at Mississippi State.
And he's viable because Mississippi only allows 4-year contracts, which makes the buyouts more doable. Chris Beard is like a 3.5 buyout, but I just see him as a no-go for Indiana.
Yeah. Jans is an interesting guy. Greg McDermott at Creighton, what are your thoughts there?
He's successful, and I think that, look, if you can win someplace else, you damn sure ought to be able to win more at Indiana because of the added resources, the recruiting, the NIL, the passion, the tradition, everything. So I just keep saying Indiana is a sleeping giant waiting for the right guy to come along. And if you don't trust me, that can and will happen when they get the right guy. Look what happened in Indiana football. That's the unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Indiana was a corpse. Indiana football was a mummy. They weren't even alive hardly. And look what 1 year Curt Cignetti did. It can be done, and man, can it be done in basketball. Look at all of these teams. Look what Rick Pitino's doing at St. John's. My God, they're a top 10 team. Kentucky, Louisville. Pat Kelsey was at freaking College of Charlestown last year. No, Charleston. No one knew his name.
Yeah.
So Indiana fans are going to have to chill. And whomever it ends up being, that's who it is. I don't have a favorite. I don't have a desire. I just throw out what the things that I see as far as information or whatnot. But if it was Dusty May, I think that he will do Indiana a favor and tell them no, but at the same time, make sure he gets his big contract extension set up. He'll tell Michigan, I'll tell you what, Indiana's offering me, here's what they're offering. But if you guys can match that, I'll stay.
Florida's philosophy has always been like the young up and comer when you look in football and basketball. Sometimes it's worked out and sometimes it hasn't. The jury's still out on Billy Napier. He's obviously been up and down. Todd Golden, it's worked out, right? Young up and comer kind of coach. So if you go the McCollum route, that seems like that kind of a route, like someone that's kind of on the rise, but from a smaller school has to do it. So that's a little bit more of a riskier proposition, but the reward is high if you can identify and see the upside and just see if, I don't know if this holds true for coaches as much as players, but it's kind of like, do you love being a star basketball coach, or do you love basketball, or do you love the craft? Do you love the machinations of it? They say the same thing for players too. It's like, do you love the game, or do you love being a basketball star? And, that's really so tough to, can you identify a grinder, right? Or can you identify someone that's just such a basketball genius, also like a Bob Knight or a Billy Donovan too, somebody that's such a savant, and that grinds and that works hard, and that communicate with players. It's a hard evaluation. That's why these athletic directors, you wouldn't want to be in their shoes, because if you get it wrong, certainly, obviously, like Indiana has done with some recent hires, then it really looks bad on you.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, the Indiana fan base, now that Brad Stevens is officially out of the picture, which he was never in the picture, there is no one that would be mentioned that they don't have people don't have a problem with certain coaches. I believe that Pearl isn't leaving Auburn now.
Yeah.
But like, people having a problem with Rick Pitino. He's not getting the job. He's not being offered the job. Trust me. But if he did, I will tell you one thing: Indiana would be freaking winning next season. Winning next season. He's not going to get the job. He's 72, but he has more energy than a lot of coaches that are in their 20s and 30s. So,
or a certain coach right now that's 66 years old that's coaching there. Yeah. Here's the other thing too. And I pointed this out with Todd Golden as well. I mean, not only has Todd Golden brought a winning brand to Florida, and this holds true for Indiana too. What about an entertaining brand of basketball? What about a brand of basketball that gets up and down the floors, multiple shooters? There's something to be said for that too. It's something that fans are going to want to pack the assembly hall and see. And that's something I think that should factor into the equation as well. Again, modern basketball, a team that plays up tempo, shoots, gets after it defensively, full court, that's the kind of basketball that, is appealing to the eye as well. But you got to win too.
Yeah, and also there's this holier than thou thing. Everybody wants a guy who is just clean as a whistle, and that would be nice. And we'll see how it ends up. But however it ends up, it is what it is. So that's that. What's up next for you, bro?
Well, I'm actually going to take a little bit of time off because March is going to be crazy. I did find out that we are going to be covering the SEC tournament in March. So I'll be down in beautiful Nash Vegas. So if you want to come down and sing a little karaoke with me, you're more than welcome. And
Russell would like that.
I'll be pretty busy down there though as well. And then from there, we'll be making the trek to March with this program that's got a really good shot to make its first Final Four since 2014. But we all know in the tournament anything can happen. Though you get a bad matchup or you have an off day, shooting the ball, it can end in a hurry.
Yes, sir, it can. Unfortunately, this segment has come to an end. But brother, it is always fun. And as the tournament approaches, hopefully we can. Maybe just schedule you on once a week. It's just always
we'll try to work something out. And in the words of Robert Goulet, na 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 na, hey, adios.
Got that red sweater, Indiana. All right, brother. K-Bro with us on the program. Appreciate you as always. We've got to wrap it up. We'll hit a break. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles.
Hey, welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. A great day, a fun time today. Woo! Looking forward to doing it again tomorrow on a Friday to wrap it up. We'll see what all we can get done. Of course, Todd Leary will be with us. Zach Osterman as well. Plenty to talk about in regards to the Big Ten. Indiana has a big game with Purdue on Sunday. So looking forward to that as well. Big thanks to everybody. Cannot do it without you, and we're grateful for you. Back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.